Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I have the honor of having Mr. Jeff in house. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Austin. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had the pleasure of going to his podcast. So we're going to interview on him. We're going to hear about his story, guys. Super inspiring stuff. So what I like to do with my guests is I like to let them start their story where they want to, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'll let you kind of get rolling.
Yeah, absolutely, Austin, and grateful and honored to be on. So my journey really starts 6.5 years ago, and I spent 20 years in corporate America, but 6.5 years ago, I had that life event that shook me to the core, kind of punched me in the gut, cut me at the knees. And unfortunately, I lost my mom to breast cancer, and she had battled on and off for 17 years. But 6.5 years ago, I watched her pass. And anytime you have one of those moments in life, especially death, right? It really shakes you and has you questioning everything in life. And one of the big questions was corporate America having me bound out of bed on fire in the morning? And after some soul searching, it didn't take me very long. The answer was resoundingly no. So I left corporate America. I was always into fitness. My late mother was always into fitness. I said, you know what? I'm going to open up my own gym. So opened up a gym, kind of a mix between a CrossFit and a local Y, kind of that middle ground. Loved it. But what organically grew out of that was high performance coaching, because 100 people would put in an application, fill out 10 questions to come in and see me, but only 15, 20, maybe 25 would answer a phone, text, email. And it was a pain point. And I was like, why is that? It's because what's in between people's ears is keeping them stuck in the same place, telling them they can't do something. So I went down that deep personal development rabbit hole, coaches, courses, podcasts, books, mentors, you name it. And that's where I came up with the 4-step morning fire methodology, the rise, fight, love, repeat, and just loving each and every day, living it myself, and then also moving the needle for others, that there's a different way to live, right? You can bookend the last 30 minutes of your day. You can figure out what you're going to do that first 30 minutes of the day. And it's such a foundational technique to have more energy, have more focus, live in abundance. And it's so counterintuitive, but get more time back in your day. So that's what I'm about.
I love that. And what do you think, right? Because this is the common question, and I'm sure you've dealt with it in your own life in the corporate setting, is do you think it's a lack, or do you think it's fear, or do you think it's a lack of almost options aren't available in their mind that there could be a different way? What is it? Is it a little bit of both? I think that I'm guilty of it in my job in the hospitality business for multiple years, because I was the top dog, and nobody questioned me. I did great wherever I went, but ultimately I wasn't fulfilled. And it took me almost 6 years to really find something that I cared about enough to kind of, for lack of a better, burn the boats. And that thing failed, and I lost a lot of money, but I always championed that because it was the reason I got out.
Yeah, so I would probably say it's a combination, right? Fear, number one. Fear grips us, right? We have evolved as a species, but our minds have not. Our caveman brain still thinks we're in the cave, and there's a saber-toothed tiger ready to kill us, right? Where death is not imminent if you leave your job, right? And you go chase a dream. You had a setback. I did as well with the gym, right? That was not successful. I closed that down last year, but we learned from those trials and tribulations, right? We grow from it. So fear would be one. Two would be people aren't aware of how much of what they do on a daily basis is driven through their habits and rituals, right? It can be up to 95% of what you do on a daily basis. So you're on that never-ending treadmill. You feel like it's groundhog every day, but you're not equipped to move away from it. You don't have an awareness, first off. That's the first problem. If you don't have an awareness, you stay stuck, you stay in the same place. You have these thoughts, you have these maybe ideas that pop into your head. Yes, I want to go do something. I want to be more fulfilled. I want to chase my dreams. But you're not equipped with, okay, how do I do that? How do I start? and then fear creeps in, and then they stay in that same spot.
So what's the first act that they could do? Let's say they have a good job. Let's say they're, maybe they're thinking about changing, or they're just not loving where their life is. What's the first step to change the narrative?
I always like to say, become a scientist, right? Put on that lab coat and start to explore, play around with things, create a side hustle, maybe something you're interested in, do it for 3-6 months. If after 3 to 6 months you still love it, then that might be an opportunity for you to do that full time moving forward. But play around, get into things, keep your day job, but explore and get very curious about what fulfills you, what lights you up, what truly makes you happy, and that would be the first step in the process.
And I think something that I'm very passionate about with my coaching clients is I'm far less worried about what it is, besides just taking the action. Like the trails of life, I didn't know a year ago I'd have a podcast, and then that led to this, and so on. And so that's why I've adopted, and I don't know how you feel about this, I've adopted more of a lifestyle view on stuff. Like I'm far less concerned on the worries, like what's the lifestyle that I want to create? What are the values I stand for? And because of that, it's a lot easier to get up for those things every day.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And you've just got to trust and have a belief in your abilities and the ability that, looking back, Steve Jobs' famous Stanford commencement speech, right? Everybody wants to connect the dots forward, but you just can't. You just have to have the belief that looking back, you're going to be able to connect those looking backwards. And that's truly a powerful way to live. And to your point, Austin, designing your life for the way you want to live is so counterintuitive to how so many people approach it, right? Well, I'm just going to I'm going to get this job. I'm going to pay the bills. I'm going to, have 2.5 kids. I'm going to live in this neighborhood. Well, is that truly what you want? Or is that what society has deemed the path that you should have?
And something that you mentioned to me when I was on your podcast that I thought was really cool, and I'm totally going to adopt this when I do have kids, is you told me that you meditate with your kids in the morning. I'm sure that's not only you do, and how much power have you seen by putting those habits and rituals in their life?
Yeah, the gift of being a father is just an amazing thing that I truly love. But yes, meditating with my sons before school, we've been doing that for a couple of years. Jackson's going to be 13, Carter's 11. Imagine how far ahead they're going to be, right? I mean, tomorrow I hit 1,300 straight days of meditation myself, but they're going to have 30 years on me. So that's incredible, as well as, teaching them how to set goals and to chunk them up, right? One of my goals for this year was 100,000 push-ups. Well, I had to break it down. And when you see that number, it's like, holy shit, how the heck are you going to get there? Well, you got to break it up into a daily number. So I do 300 a day, and I guided both of them. It took a couple times asking, hey, what's your goal for the year? But they got a jump shot goal, a push-up goal. It was to hit honor roll. And I just took a picture. I was in my oldest son's room working at his desk the other day. And there he's got it up on the whiteboard, and he's keeping track daily of your goals. So I truly believe that the journey I've gone on and I continue to be on is just going to set them up for success and give them so many more tools that I didn't have. I don't know about you, but I wasn't taught, hey, chunk up your goals. I wasn't taught how to start your morning on fire. I wasn't taught how much is driven through our habits and rituals. So any exposure I can give to them is just, it means the world to me.
Yeah, I was listening to Iron Cowboy James, who just did 100 Ironmans in a row.
I just saw it. I watched after your recommendation on the podcast. I did watch his.
How was
Netflix.
That?
It was. I was. Just
Does it make you want to run through your TV screen?
A little bit. I was fired up. I said I needed to watch this in the late afternoon on a Saturday, so I could calm down a little bit. But then I went out to his website and I saw 100 and 100, and I said, "What just happened?"
He just did an interview with Ed Milet like 2 days ago, and I'm almost finished. And he said that he has 5 kids, and he said I thought that kids mimic their fathers, like they mimic, like Ed Milet might have said this. He said, I thought they mimicked like who we were and what we did, but he said what they mimic is your emotions. They see the emotions, and so if you're a dad who gets mad all the time or stressed out, then you'll see that manifest yourself in your kid later on in life. And so I have mentors that meditate and do cold plunges with their kids, and I think to myself, like, I've been on the train like a couple years, 5 years, 4 years. Like, I can only imagine like that compounded over time is going to have them more prepared for, a defeat, or more prepared for when something goes wrong. And so, it really is all about having those tools on your tool belt that create the momentum. Because I think one of the things that we need to debunk, and I wrote a post about this 2 days ago, is like, this is my favorite thing my clients ask me, especially like the young ones. They're like, well, so you don't have limiting beliefs? And I'm like, what? No, I coach millionaires. They think the same way you do. They just don't attach themselves to them. So, what would you tell people out there that think like, oh, Jeff's just crushing it and he's meditating every day, and he wants to do that every day? I know he does. Is that the case, or is it the?
No, I've just gotten into the ability to control my mind and not let my mind control me, and to know when my mind tells me to stop. That's a trigger to say, I absolutely need to do it. Right. It's almost, I did a post the other day about fear, and when fear creeps in, use it as a trigger rather than a stop sign. And when you feel it, that's a good thing. Right. So, no, I absolutely am just like you, right? The limiting beliefs, I just don't stay in that space, because I have strategies, I have tools. I'm fortifying my mind through cold plunges, David Goggins runs, all those things that allow me to control my mind rather than my mind control me. And I interviewed Evan Carmichael on my podcast, and he said the difference between high performers and most everyone else is they can trigger themselves into state quicker when they feel those limiting beliefs, because we all have them. And that is just, it's so true. And social media is a difficult thing because you see everybody's highlight reels, right? So many times you see the highlight reel, you don't see the 10 years of work that it took to get to a certain point. So everybody has them. It's how do you search out and figure out ways to get past those limiting beliefs, and then have that in your arsenal, again, your tool belt, to know when it kicks in, okay, that is not the case. You're moving on, and you can get through it that much quicker, rather than when you might first feel those limiting beliefs, it might knock you off kilter for a week, a month, or 2 months, right? So it's incredibly powerful. And we all have those limiting beliefs. It's just what can we do to attack them?
And I want to talk about that book in the corner that you wrote, and kind of talk about that process, and why you decided to do it, and kind of how that worked for you. Because I'm in the process of doing one right now too. It's an interesting thing. It's kind of like remodeling a property. It's a little bit of a love-hate relationship.
I actually did it last March, started writing it last March right after COVID hit. And COVID, obviously, in my gym business had a tremendous impact in it. I made some bad financial decisions. So, I was almost $100,000 in debt at that point, and I'm writing a book, and you talk about limiting beliefs. Here I am writing a book about how to start your days, but I'm struggling financially. And it was a great process to go through. I'm not a great writer yet, but I had a great editor who helped me through it. And it's kind of ironic that I wrote a book, because my late mother was a reading teacher, and I hated to read growing up. And I always said, she's looking down saying, you son of a gun, you wrote a book when I wasn't around to celebrate. But I know she's up there celebrating. It was a great process. It's something I'm incredibly proud of to go through and get completed. And now, it just allows me to spread my message to other people. And the book is my mantra, right? Rise, fight, love, repeat. Rise like a phoenix, reborn each day, new possibilities, new opportunities. Obviously, the passing of my mom, I'm so grateful for our discussion right now, and just to be standing up straight and breathing air, fighting for your physical fitness, mental fitness, nutritional fitness, spiritual fitness. I feel like we lose that fight mentality, that dog mentality. I always say it's a world full of kind of like walking zombies out there. Okay, with mediocre, good, and average. Screw that. You've got to fight for what you truly want. loving yourself most importantly, then you can love all those around you. And then that secret sauce, just the repetition, right? If you want different results, they are 9 times out of 10 dictated by the habits and rituals you have on a daily basis. So just repeating it over and over again, because then it becomes hardwired and you don't need to think about it. And it sets that foundation for success.
I mean, that really is the blueprint. I mean, it really is, because there's days that aren't great, but you have another opportunity to wake up. And one of the things that I think we don't talk about enough, and I've kind of been digging into it lately, is like, there is a dark side to like other aspects of who you are. Like, I'm a very nice guy, but I'm also very competitive, and I have big goals and my big impact. And sometimes really don't want to do the things I have to do, but I've conditioned myself to tap into certain aspects of who I am to create what I deem as separation season, right? I'm doing the things that other people aren't wanting to do. I'm getting up early in the morning and I'm doing what I said I was going to do. And some of that takes negotiating with yourself, and some of it takes just being so locked into your daily habits that it creates that separation. Because one of the things that my girlfriend said to me the other day, and a couple of people have said it to me, is like, man, you are just the most consistent human being I've ever met. Like, you do what you're going to do when you say. But like, for me, I have a bigger reason for that, and I have something that pulls me in that direction. So, what do you do? Do you have a bigger reason? Do you have a bigger kind of outlook on stuff, opposed to just like your business opportunities that kind of pulls you through when you don't want to?
Yeah, I would say it was back to the last kind of deep conversation with my mother when we talked about legacy. And she's got 7 grandchildren. She was so concerned with, hey, them remembering me. And I remember telling her that through her positivity, through her hope, that's going to live through me, and it's going to live through my sons and be passed down generations. So that fuels me on a daily basis, as well as I have a similar mindset to you, where I call it the rainy day mentality, right? When it's raining out, let's say I've got to go for a run, 99% of people are going to say, you know what, I'll wait till tomorrow. It's raining. It's not nice out. Mm-hmm. I say that's an advantage to get ahead. And I am an extremely competitive person as well. So any opportunity to get an edge, I take it now. And I've gotten into that mindset of doing it, and as well as setting myself up for success, right? So many people, let's say, waking up, so many people hit the snooze button. Okay. Way to get around it. Place the phone in a different room or away from your bed, so you physically have to get out of bed. Okay, that works. One day I hit snooze. I think it was this past January, 6 months ago. Here I am, the morning fire coach, hitting snooze button. Why the heck is it? And why is it the biggest freaking button on the phone? So I start, again, being a scientist, I started diving into it. On the iPhone, you can turn the snooze button completely off. Oh, it's not even there now. So I have one option: stop. So those are the types of things you need to do to set you up for success and planning for success. And so many times when we fail, we beat ourselves up over and over and over again about it. And in that example, I could have, right? How do I hit the snooze button when I coach people not to do it? Well, I'm a human being, one thing. 2, it's the largest button on the phone. They are trying to have me hit snooze. So through exploration, I found out you can just turn it off. Now I never hit the snooze button. So it's those type of things that when you get curious, when you put that scientist lab coat on, you can discover. And when you have failures, when you have setbacks, learn from them. Don't wallow in self-pity. Don't go into a tailspin. Learn from them and say, okay, how can I set myself up to never hit the snooze button again? And that's what kind of came out of it.
I love that. And as you coach people and as you dive into that work, what would you, 2-part question, I'll ask the first one. What would you say is the 1 or 2 common things, no matter who they are, how old they are in business? Because I know that I see it every day. I have clients all over the country, women and men, and there seems to be some overarching themes through. What are the things that you see that is kind of holding them back from where they need to be the most?
One is the concept of time and not having enough of it, right? And so many people say, well, I just don't have time to implement a morning routine or to plan ahead at night. And I love to debunk that, because we all have the same 24 hours. You're just not prioritizing your time properly. And when you have an awareness of how many hours you're spending on Netflix, binging something, or mindlessly scrolling through social media, pockets of time open up, and it's incredible when that can happen to someone. As well as, back to your point, the limiting beliefs, right? Everybody has one or two limiting beliefs that just stop them in their tracks. And I love giving them the idea that, hey, you're trying to slam down that gas pedal, you're trying to go fast, but that limiting belief is the other foot on the brake, and you're just never going to be able to do that. So some strategies around how to get past those limiting beliefs and set them up for success. And when they move past those two, when they get that foundation of, hey, I'm planning for success at night, I'm doing these quick wins. When I wake up in the morning, it's like jet fuel in their veins. And it's just amazingly powerful to watch the transformation.
And I think one of the things I've been going through the last couple of months, as the businesses get bigger and there's stuff on the side that's getting bigger, I think understand that different aspects and different years of your life require a different version of yourself. Like we're talking big real estate deals, big companies we're building. And so the frantic, the all over the place Austin doesn't need to show up right now. The seasoned, mature, emotionally stable Austin, right? So I have themes every year. Okay. And I've carried the same theme for 2 years straight. And I didn't know it before COVID, but emotional stability was my theme.
Okay.
Riding with the highs and lows, keeping a framework, being calm under pure pressure. And so we have to create that space where we're leveling up, but also giving ourselves the grace to work towards that, right? And be comfortable and such. So if you're sitting here today and everything that you've been through, the gym and everything, what advice would you give to the guy that was working the corporate job right now that now that you didn't know then?
Wow, that's a good question, right? To the guy that was, follow your heart, follow your passion, right? And I feel like so many times people turn that off because they're restricted by, let's say, they have a family to support and they just can't see an out. Luckily, my wife supported me wholeheartedly in the move, and I was able to get through it and get through the failure of the gym and kind of shoot through the other side. But when you don't listen to that voice, right, or that itch on the back of your neck, you don't scratch it, you're just going to always feel unfulfilled in what you're doing. And if you can start out slow, just on a side hustle exploring, eventually you'll find it. And then you're gonna feel that switch flip, and then it's gonna be incredibly powerful. So listen to your heart and where your passion lies is definitely the advice I'd give.
Yeah, one of the key words that I'm focusing on these days is alignment. If you're in line with who you're in business with, or you're in alignment with yourself, or you're in alignment with your partner or your kids, it feels super easy. It's when we go out and we try to force that we're like, I don't know why I keep getting punched in the face. It's because you shouldn't be doing this. As I tell everybody, the universe is undefeated. Just give it a shot. I promise it'll win over and over again. So if people want to find out about your podcast and everything you have going on, purchase the book, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so they can get the book, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire, out on Amazon. It's available in ebook or paperback. You want to listen to the podcast, you can find that on all major podcast providers, Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs. I'm out on Instagram, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. If they want to grab a complimentary 20-minute coaching session with me, they can go out to themorningfire.com to find me as well.
Wonderful. Guys, if you got some value from this episode, make sure you send it out to your friends, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.